World Trade Center leaseholder Larry Silverstein gave the okay to pull the building moments before Building 7 collapsed. BBC's Jane Stanley even reported Building 7's collapse minutes before the event actually happened. And you can even see Building 7 clearly behind her as she gives the report.
Yesterday I watched a video where a news lady was talking and she said the third building just fell. But behind her, the third building had not fallen yet. So that's weird.
Jane Stanley.
You saw that then? Yeah.
Oh, of course, of course.
Like, she's like, oh, it fell down and it's still behind her.
You would think that she would wait till it fell, even if she had insider information that the thing was going down. She has some sort of ESP.
There are currently close to 1,500 architects and engineers who are saying that it was indeed a controlled demolition.
Well, I mean, that's the kind of thing where we need some sort of investigation, and if the government isn't going to do that sort of investigating, then we need a third party to step in and, have the authority and the resources to do that.
I mean, like a lot of people, question the Warren Commission. That doesn't make all of them kooks or conspiracy theorists.
What do you feel about losing a lot of our civil liberties since 9/11?
It sucks. You have people that can invade your phone calls and text messages and emails, and so you really don't have any privacy, and that really scares me.
So I think that 9/11 was sort of the Trojan horse for all that sort of policy to come in.
If you notice, there's free speech zones. We can only free speech in certain areas now. So yeah, it's almost like everything that we once had is slowly shrinking.
Is it worth it to make us more safe, to lose our liberties?
No, certainly not. I mean, 9/11 was a terrible event, but in terms of the things that have happened since then making us more safe, I'd say that's the other side of the coin.
Do you think there needs to be a new investigation into September 11th?
I don't think it would hurt. I don't know how much we would know about it, or again, maybe how unbiased it would be, but I think it always is something that is interesting to look at further.
I think America should demand a new investigation.
Definitely be interesting to see things that I'm sure the government didn't want the public knowing at the time.
The only way to get to the bottom of it is to do more research.
I honestly believe the government's corrupt. Everyone lies. I don't think people should just put all their faith and trust in a government who is just completely selfish and only worrying about themselves.
10 years after 9/11, we could see that much of the public is aware that they're not being told everything there is to know about the tragic events of that day. The mainstream media, however, continues to avoid discussing Building 7. Instead, they insist on pushing the official fable and ridicule any American who demands a new investigation. I'm Darrin McBreen for INFOWARS Nightly News. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Darrin. Great job. Look, the great part about this being my news program, I'm the news director, I'm the head of INFOWARS.com, is that I can just stop the news and make a comment. And I want to tell you a brief story here before we go to break and come back with Richard Gage. I have a friend who is high level at the Austin airport in public relations. I'll just leave it at that. And this was like 4 years ago. He was visiting his brother at a local TV station. I was over there. And he came in and he said, get the news on because it's about to air. And he goes, I guarantee you that I watched them interview 40 plus people, and they were all against the newest type, abuse that the TSA was involved in, taking your belt off, your shoes off, being patted down. That was before they went in the pants. And he said everybody said they hated it and would rather face the danger, or it was fake, or 9/11 was an inside job. Everyone until one old woman, and this was News 8 Austin at the time. It's now Your News Now. It's a Time Warner local news thing. And he said one old lady said she loved it, and he knew because he was there with them. He said that's a wrap, and they turned the camera off, slammed the tripod together. They were there for an hour trying to get people to talk to him. Every one of them hated it, and they found one woman to be politically correct who groveled for the police state. Now, we don't do that here. We, every week, sometimes twice a week, send out our reporters to do this man on the street. We're only, we've done 5-6 shows now. We've already done it 3 times. And we put almost everybody in there. If somebody's incoherent and can't string a sentence together, they're cut. The one person that we basically cut out of this was the guy who was incoherent and said that he believed the official story. But I'm telling you, he believed it. It's just that he gibbered and had trouble talking. Some of the folks also that think it's an inside job were kind of long-winded, so we cut them out as well. But 15 people, one of them buys the official story. Now, again, they'd have to get 40-something to find one person who liked the police state. And that's proven. I think we're going to do some special reports where we show you unedited, other than cutting out the spaces while new people walk up. Or maybe we'll just go to 6th Street and get a whole crowd around us and shoot like 30 minutes to show this. Or we'll go to UT and do it and get a big crowd around us and bring people up and just show you the good, the bad, the ugly. To prove this, it is a hoax that most people don't know that 9/11 is an inside job. Most people do. I've seen an Angus and Reid New York Times poll 5 years ago. It's in several of my films. Scientific, where 83% of Americans believe they're being lied to about 9/11. Countless others in the mid-60s saying inside job. I've seen others where 37% think inside job. But now they're pushing all these polls that I've researched that are very questionable. They say 10%. Oh, that's far too high, they say. 15 people, only one is drinking the Kool-Aid. Incredible. And that's what you have to remember with this 10th anniversary coming up, is that the idea of false flag terror, inside job, self-inflicted wound, something that wasn't understood a decade ago. False flag was something that academics knew about. People that research stage terror knew about. I knew the term false flag. But no one, 99.9 didn't know this 10 years ago. When you ask yourself, have we been successful? Ask somebody what an inside job is. Ask somebody what a false flag is. Ask somebody what a self-inflicted wound is. The vast majority now know. Just like Ron Paul 20 years ago in Congress couldn't get one co-sponsor to end the Fed or even audit it. Now it passed the House last year and was killed procedurally in the Senate. We are winning, and Tokyo rose of the New World Order. Even when our troops were about to, take over the homeland of Japan, they were broadcasting, "You've lost GIs, you're all going to die, you're failing." Remember that guy in Baghdad, Baghdad Bob, his bombs are going up behind him going, "The Americans are thousands of miles away. Nothing's going on here." That's what they're doing here. They're going, "No one believes 9/11's inside job. No one does, buddy boy. You need to go to sleep now. Government lie. No one believes that the government killed Kennedy. Believe the KGB." But scientific polls, 92% know the government killed Kennedy. And now they've released the Jackie tape. She said the government killed him. His lawyer, Barr McClellan, LBJ's lawyer, has gone public. The hitman, head CIA guy, has gone public on his deathbed, E. Howard Hunt. You want me to keep going? The mistress of LBJ went public on my show before she died. You want me to keep going? You guys have lost all credibility. We're going to go to break, come back with Richard Gage. It's InfoWars Nightly News. Stay with us and spread the word. The spirit of 1776 worldwide will defeat evil.
The establishment called him extreme and unelectable. They said he was the wrong man for the job. It's why a young Texan named Ron Paul was one of only 4 congressmen to endorse Ronald Reagan's campaign for president, believing in Reagan's message of smaller government and lower taxes. After Reagan, Senator Al Gore ran for president, pledging to raise taxes and increase spending, pushing his liberal values. And Al Gore found a cheerleader in Texas named Rick Perry. Rick Perry helped lead Al Gore's campaign to undo the Reagan Revolution, fighting to elect Al Gore President of the United States. Now, America must decide who to trust, Al Gore's Texas cheerleader or the one who stood with Reagan. Ron Paul, restore America now.
Welcome back. It's InfoWars Nightly News. This will be the last television show I do before we reach the 10th anniversary of the tragic attacks of September 11th. Tragic attacks that have been used to go after the liberties and freedoms of people, not just here in the United States, but worldwide, to launch wars that have killed more than 1 million people in Iraq alone. a fable on which they have launched the TSA groping of the American people. Will Americans and the rest of the world allow the lie that is 9/11 to continue to be used to destroy free societies all over the planet and launch these wars? Joining us is Richard Gage. A few years ago, he founded Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. It's got thousands of members now, and it's made international headlines across the world. Hundreds of television programs have basically tried to debunk Mr. Gage and, of course, failed because he is a prominent architect, and he's got physicists, architects, engineers. It's over 1,500 now that are speaking out, and he's in Toronto for the truth hearing. So we're going to talk to him about that in a moment, and then I'm going to get his view on the video we just played earlier. You know, we interviewed more than 15 people in Austin randomly and asked, what do you think of Building 7, and showed them on an iPad the building falling. And all but one said, looks like controlled demolition, including a engineering student at UT who we ran into. Only one guy said, yeah, it looks suspicious, but there's got to be a reason. Now, that's your real on-the-street polling. 15 people, all of them controlled demolition or say it looks suspicious. So joining us is somebody who is really at the tip of the spear when it comes to credibly challenging this fable. Richard, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Alex. It's again my honor to be here with you.
Well, you've got the floor. Tell us about the latest developments, where Architects and Engineers is right now, what these truth hearings are, and where you think 9/11 Truth is going 10 years on.
Well, as you mentioned, I'm representing 1,500 architects and engineers, now 1,560 actually, and these are demanding a real investigation of the destruction of the 3 center high-rises on 9/11. And the people in the street understand that Building 7 is a demolition, and I want to tell you also that every architect and engineer that I talk to, almost without exception really, when they see Building 7, they agree it is a controlled demolition. And then they're just shocked. Their jaws are open. They're receptive to hearing the evidence about the Twin Towers, which of course, unfortunately, is replete with evidence, science-based forensic evidence, documenting its controlled demolition. So I've traveled all around the world now in 23 different countries, speaking to groups of 100 to 700.